Hi everyone, welcome back to GrantMe's. So today's video is going to be the third part series of UBC's Ultimate University Guide. So I have one more video left, but for today's video, we're going to be talking about when UBC sends acceptances. We're also going to go into the different deadlines for acceptances, what to do after you're accepted, and what to do while you're waiting for your acceptance. And I'm going to be referencing a lot of the information that I inputted in the previous two videos, so definitely check those out. They're in the playlist for the Ultimate University Guide. Right, so as you all know by now, GrantMe is kind of an expert in the admissions process for Canadian universities. We've gotten in countless students into their dream Canadian university, and they've also gotten funding with GrantMe scholarship matching platform. If you're interested in some of the stories, I did input it in the previous blog post for the UBC series, so definitely check that out. GrantMe also has a PDF toolkit of everything you need to know about UBC. If you do want access to that, you can go ahead and take a free 2-minute scholarship eligibility quiz, and that'll tell you how many scholarships you're eligible for and if you qualify for the GrantMe program. And if you're interested in more university content and student stories, hit subscribe and the bell button to be notified every time we post a new video. Okay, so there's two types of admission deadlines. The first one is the first round admission offers, and that deadline is basically the early application, and the deadline for that is on December 1st. Now UBC does a rolling admissions process, which means that admissions, acceptances, and all of that won't be sent to every student on a specific day. They'll be rolled out through a period of months. Now for December 1st, UBC on their website says that the latest you will get your acceptance is February 28th, and if you don't get it by February 28th, then you probably need some additional documents. This is only if you submitted the early application. Now you must be thinking, okay, if I submitted my UBC application earlier than everyone else, I might have a better chance of getting in. Well, UBC says acceptances at UBC are not given out on first come, first served basis. So the quality of your application will matter just as much as someone who submitted it on the last day of regular admission deadline. So make sure that in submitting your application early, you're not rushing it, because if you rush it with the thought in mind that, you know, you might get in because it's an early deadline, that might be detrimental to your application. So just remember that first come, first served does not work for university admissions. They work super hard to make the process fair and kind of adhere to their acceptance rate. So that's why they make it very clear that an early admission does not mean that your application was better just because it was handed in earlier. The second deadline, which is the regular admission deadline, is January 15. So you have up to January 15 to submit your application, and the application for early admission deadline and regular admission deadline is the same. You still have to fill out the personal profile, which I discussed in my last video. You still have to give in your references and your transcripts and all of that. It just gives you a month and a half to get your application in. An important thing to note with the early admissions as well as the regular admissions is that the UBC application does ask for 2 referees, which means 2 people that can speak to all of the work that you've done, your grades, and just basically reflect what you've written on your application to be tried, true, and accurate to your portrayal. So how this relates to the application deadline is that you want to make time to ask those people. People that you can ask to be your referees are your favorite teachers, even if they're not your favorite but you got good grades in their classes. They can speak to the quality of your homework, your grades, your tests, all of that. They can be referees. Someone like a coach is amazing as well. Your coach has seen you, play whatever you're part of, and has trained you, so they can definitely speak to your experience and your grit and determination. The other person could be your sponsor teacher for an organization. Say you have founded a club at school and you have a specific teacher that is the sponsor of your club. This teacher lets you and your club use their classroom, and you have developed a close relationship with that teacher because they are supporting your club. They are an amazing option for a referee for UBC. But remember, you're not the only one applying to UBC, and a lot of other students are probably bombarding and asking different teachers to be the referees. So you want to ask early always. Always want to ask early, and you want to have backups. So I would say that if you need 2 referees, just as the UBC application intends, you should have 2 to 3 backups in case your referees say no for some reason, or they're not responding, or they're not into it. This way you'll have 2 to 3 backups that you can rely on to make it in time for the application deadline. And for the application deadline, you don't actually need a reference letter. They just need their name and contact details. So it should be pretty quick, but as always, you want to make sure that you have those ready beforehand. Okay, so you submitted your application, you paid the fee. Now what? As I said before, the waiting time period for Canadian high school students for the regular admission deadline is from December to April. So by April, you should have your acceptance. And then for early admission, it is February. You can check your application status in the Student Service Center under Applications and Admissions. And I would recommend frequently checking the Student Service Center, which is SSC for short, because you won't always get an email, because some students have reported that they don't get an actual email from UBC, or they get it super late. The email itself and even the package that gets sent to your door is not the most reliable way to know if you've been accepted to UBC. So you want to actually frequently check the SSC under the admissions tab, and it'll say accepted, or if they're still processing that and all of that. You can also in the SSC find any outstanding docs or fees that you need to pay that your application needs. So all the information will be in the SSC. And if you're wondering, okay, what is the difference between when I get my admission in December or if I get my admission in April? That's a big time frame, and so the question is valid. There are actually a few different factors that UBC states that determine the duration of your application. The first one is the degree that you apply to. So some degrees might require additional documents or audition tapes if you're doing more of a creative thing, and some won't. One of the main things that it relies on is the type of degree that you are doing. Second is the quality of your application. Now, I can't speak too much on the quality of your application because UBC has their own internal processes. I can say the more clear and engaging and compelling that your application is, the better it is. But of course, that doesn't mean that you will get your admission earlier, but the quality of your application will increase. Third is when your grades will be sent. Now, this is something that's not really in your hands. It really depends on the institution you're coming from. So something like a high school or an IB program, wherever you're completing your high school education, it depends on them of when they're going to send your transcript and your grade to UBC. And this really depends on whether you're out of province as well, or just the school or how busy they are. So just hold tight, and by April, you should have your acceptance. While you're waiting for your acceptance, you can also tour the campus. That's a very popular way that students kind of get acquainted with the UBC campus or any campus of any sort. You can also take a virtual tour. You can attend events for applicants, and you can also visit any info sessions for potential students going into UBC. These events and info sessions give a lot of context to students who might be, a little nervous or asking a lot of questions. A lot of them are very interactive, so you can ask whoever's leading that. You can ask a UBC staff questions about the acceptances, about the school, and all of that. So it's definitely a very great way to be acquainted with the school. Okay, so if you have been accepted to UBC, you will get an email and your SSC will say that you've been accepted. You'll also receive a really cool package in the mail, and that'll include your registration and orientation guide as well as your offer letter. And after that, you're good. UBC will send you more information about how to, accept your offer, which you will do on the SSC, and as well as any outstanding fees that will be required after you accept your admission. And of course, if you are, thinking of how to pay for university, you can take our scholarship eligibility quiz, and that will show you how many scholarships you're eligible for. And not only that, if you're qualified to be a part of the GrantMe's community, will help you with career development, as well as navigating your way through the next 4 to 5 years of your degree at UBC. And if you haven't applied to UBC yet and you're looking into it, we also of course help with that. We have a team of essay editors that edit your application to perfection. So if you're interested in that, take our quiz. It's free, and I hope that you can be part of the GrantMe community and get into UBC if you're really trying for it. That's it for today's video, and I'll see you guys all next time.